Nothing like a summer road trip today. We're packing up the RV and heading to ACC country for a summer preview of the suddenly robust conference. We're joined by Boston College insider John Meter-Perrell and Pitt insider Pat Bostic. And John, as initiation for Pat and Pitt, we not only give you permission, but encourage all hazing. All right, so gentlemen, let's get started here. You could say this segment is brought to you by Twitter. We give you the hashtag. You tell us which ACC team it refers to this season. All right, John, you go first. Hashtag conference champion.
Love North Carolina. North Carolina, to me, is a little bit underrated. Bryn Renner's probably a top 3 quarterback in the league. Larry Fedora, wide open offense. A little bit concerned that they don't have a go-to threat. I think Quinshaw Davis eventually will be the guy. Defensively, I think they will adjust well to a 4-2-5. I think North Carolina has enough to stun people and actually win the conference this year.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting pick. I'm going to go more traditional, probably the easier pick with Florida State. I got to go with the reigning ACC champions. I think Winston's going to be a heck of a player at quarterback. He can really move around. I think they're going to rely a little bit more on that run game this season. Losing Manuel, they're going to have to rely on that run game. They got 4 or 5 back up front. And I think that defense, while they have to reload and they got 6 new staff members on that defensive side of the ball, I think they got more in the reserve than people think. I think they're going to be really good on defense.
All right, John,
that's like going with a chalk, Pat, I'll tell you.
Well, you know what? You guys are beating us in hockey up there, Bruins, so I'm going with chalk here.
All right, Pat, your turn to go first here. Hashtag MVP.
I'm going to go with Logan Thomas, quarterback from Virginia Tech. I think he's going to have a better year this year. We saw him at home in Heinz Field last season. He struggled through a few picks. I think Scott Loeffler, his offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach up there, is going to help him out. He did wonders at Michigan, working with the likes of Tom Brady and Chad Henne, former quarterback himself. So I think Logan Thomas is going to come back. If not the most valuable player, he will be probably the most improved player this season in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Logan Thomas, come on, he's a better tight end than he is a quarterback. I'm going with Taj Boyd. Taj Boyd at Clemson is going to put up huge numbers. Sammy Watkins, if he has some non-off-field issues, he'll be fine. That could be a big, major question for Dabo Swinney. But Boyd put up huge numbers last year, Nintendo-like numbers. That's going to continue with that unbelievable aerial attack they have at Clemson. So I think Boyd's going to be your guy.
So, John, back to you. Last year, 7 teams finished 500 or better. Your hashtag, underrated.
I think Georgia Tech's underrated. I think Paul Johnson has been in battle the last couple of years, and I don't know why. I think Paul Johnson always proves like his teams are prepared each and every week, and so I think Georgia Tech's going to be a tough team to defend. They're going to be a tough team to play against on the defensive end. So Georgia Tech is my pick.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I think Georgia Tech's going to be a tough team this year. They had a good year last year. That triple option's tough defensively. Paul Johnson teams played against them when he was at Navy are always difficult. I'm going to go with Miami. 10 returning starters on both sides of the ball. I think Al Golden's going to have his team trending in the right direction this year. Stephen Morris back at quarterback. They're going to be a tough one. We got him at Heinz Field in November, and that's going to be a tough one.
Miami underrated? Come on. Everybody's picking them to win the Coastal.
Yeah, I think they're underrated, though. I think with Clemson and so forth in Florida State, I think people are still overlooking them as far as the total conference is concerned.
John, you've got a couple of teams underrated. You also believe North Carolina will win the whole thing as an underrated pick as well. Okay, so, Pat, we mentioned 7 teams 500 or better, but 6 of them went to bowl games. Conference, not bad in the postseason, 4-2 record. Your hashtag, overrated.
I'm going to go with a shocker. I'm going to go with Clemson. I think they do lose some, so they got to get better on defense, and they're going to have to help out Taj Boyd, Watkins on offense. They lose Hopkins. They lose their tailback. I think they got to prove themselves on defense if they're going to surmount Florida State at the top of the conference. I don't think it's a total overrated. I think they're a very good football team, but I think Florida State's a better team right now, and a lot of people aren't thinking that.
I'm going to counter Pat's underrated pick. I'm going Miami, the U. They can't stop anybody. 116th on defense last year. They may be marginally better this year. They need playmakers. Where are all the playmakers in Miami? They don't exist down there anymore. On the offensive side, they do with Duke Johnson. Stephen Morris, I think, is a little overrated. I know he had a big game last year, threw for 566 yards. But to me, the U, overrated.
All right, John, real quick, help Pat out here in 140 characters or less. Best environment in the ACC, and you can't say BC.
Oh, man, not Chestnut Hill. You got to go with Clemson. You got to go with Death Valley. There's nothing like it. 80,000 plus, all clad in orange. The women are beautiful. The fans are beautiful. It's a tremendous atmosphere. It seems like every time we go there, it's 80 degrees. We love it coming from Boston. So I go with Clemson. With Florida State or North Carolina, close second.
All right, and Pitt isn't too bad either, is it, Pat, with Heinz Field?
I tell you what, September 2nd, Labor Day, it's going to be pretty special with Florida State coming to town. It's a great place to play some big games. Pittsburgh fans, they love their football.
All right, John, Pat, take a deep breath. That's all we got for now. Appreciate the time. Speaking of the ACC, he is perhaps the best ACC basketball player of all time, not named Jordan. We look back on the career of Tim Duncan for Throwback Thursday only on CampusInsiders.com.